Hello there. Welcome to the final episode of Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. It's a final episode of the year. Hang on, can we start over again? One more time. And blocking, lights, rolling.
Sound speeding?
Sound speeding, yeah. Hello there. No?
Oh my God. The turn, I really wasn't expecting.
You just weren't ready for the turn. It's our last stream of the year. And so,
I should have been ready for anything.
you should have been ready for anything. I should have worn a funny hat. I left my funny hat in my car.
You really do have time to jump scare me because, dear viewers, I cannot see physical Dallas because I sit down below the monitor.
Yeah.
And then I'm just looking at the ones and twos.
It's all monitors.
So if I looked up and Dallas had suddenly changed, it would be quite the shock. So the turnaround really did get me.
It's you gotta do the.
We have to reshoot that headshot.
Just new headshot. It's the last stream of the year for Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. We're painting up some Ultron bots. Yesterday, Schick painted up something very festive, and then I was just like, oh, I prepped Ultron bots. Like, I'm just gonna paint them like robots. I hope that's okay.
If it makes you feel better, I didn't know that it was going to be a Festivus stream until I arrived.
Schick is full of
Surprises.
joy in his heart.
Yeah. I should have assumed.
That's it. That's why he's full of joy in his heart. He's full of joy. So we're just going to paint some Ultron bots today. We're going to hang out. We're going to chat. It's not going to be 90 minutes. Did I beat him to it? Yeah. I beat him to it. It's going to be 60 minutes. It's the final stream of the year. It's going to be fun, though. So we can chat and hang out and we can practice our slow turn. We can just do this all day. How many slow turns can I do? How many different slow turns? And then
That one.
what about little up?
What's
up,
going with the swoop of
Yeah,
your?
you gotta do the little swoop maybe. Or how about this one?
This is the farthest from home I've ever been turn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, is that the only face Elijah Wood has ever made?
All right, let's go to the
Pained wonder.
eyes first, then the turn. Oh, we could do that too. We can do the.
Oh, that's the villainous.
The
Take.
villain.
Oh,
We got so many.
I don't think I can do this.
I'm exhausted
I
now.
know, that's a lot.
How many evil slow turns can you do to turn a Jedi Master? Yeah. How many? Yeah. How many would it take? Ultron bots. I got them base silver. We're going to use some grays and some blues, and we're going to make them even more silver than they are with being pure silver, because the true test of unlocking your metallosity is to remove some metal to make it look more metal. Or drop detuning, one of the two. Either one is a perfectly acceptable answer on how to make it more metal. I need a little bit lighter color. I'm using dark warm gray. I feel like it needs a little something else in there. Oh, we could do what about shock turn? Like a shocked, we didn't do shocked. You ready, Ann?
Hold on.
Tell me when you're ready.
All right, I'm good. Outrageous.
Outrageous! We're going to get, the FCC is going to be on us in no time. We're going to get rebooted. It's going to be terrible. I'm so sorry, people. So I'm going to go very, very fast. My goal is to paint all these Ultron bots in an hour. So I'm just going to make a light gray. I'm going to thin it down with some of the glaze wash medium from Monument. And And what this is going to do is, since I totally base coated the entire miniature silver, our goal is to get down in the shadows and start removing some of that reflectiveness with an opaque paint. The reason we do this is because when you remove some of that reflectiveness, then you can accentuate the highlights and the midtone reflectiveness, and it feels even more reflective. But we have to do it sort of gradually. So glazes, washes, some fancy blends, anything at all like that will work very good here. We need to come up with one more slow turn or camera turn for the end of the stream. What's it going to be?
It could be like is it really you? I never thought I'd see you again.
I never thought I would see you again.
Well, now you made it antagonistic, which is a cool take to have.
We're just riffing. We're just riffing here.
What about Santa? Is that really you?
It's me, Margaret.
It's me. It's your girl, Margaret.
A little bit of this just removes it all, makes it more shiny. The royal turn. I don't know. I feel like it's more. No? Is that not it?
Yes, with the royal brush in mouth.
Fetch me my royal brush.
I say,
good man, fetch me my royal brush.
or I shall dispose of you
gotta-
forthwith.
Yeah, forthwith. You guys get some of that Matt Berry in there.
Oh, yeah. This is just the kind of humor my Ren Fair time prepared me for.
Hither and yon.
You're just saying words.
That's usually just all I do anyways, just say words.
I mean, that's true. That's
They're not.
fair.
All words are just made up anyways. I mean.
I say. Whither away so hurriedly?
So hurriedly. It's quite the body affair. Oh, I do say, in my personal opinion, I don't care who you think, be it Christopher Lee or Morgan Freeman, no human can deliver a line like Matt Berry.
It's true.
That's just science. You're not going to be able to tell very easily on screen what this is doing. But it's a very thin, light gray. It feels very much of the same value as the silver. It's very thin. I'm kind of painting in the shadows and like in the little crevices. If it spills over a little here and there, I don't care. It'll be fine. All will survive. All will be metal. Because if it's a little glazy and gets on top, you can, because this is pretty glazy, it gets on the top surface where you don't really want it, you just use your second brush to wick it away. Also, when Hugh Jackman retires, Matt Berry should play Wolverine. I say snicked, bub. A little bit more here. Just mixing it up, making it up. Nothing really matters. It's all made up, just like all the words that's ever been spoken. They're just eloquent grunts. Boy, that was sloppy. Clean that up, Dallas. New Year's resolution, get a new paintbrush for stream.
Surely we can manage that much. A Christmas miracle.
All right. Gonna go darker. Pull out the even darker paint. This is just the dark warm gray. Let's put a little coal black in there. No, this isn't coal black. This is blue black. Just a little kiss of blue. The base on this miniature was fun to paint. Yeah, I really like. This was one that, we gotten a couple grunts in us at this point. And, we start working on the Earth's Mightiest core set. And, we want to add all the things to into that core set that Marvel Crisis Protocol had evolved to, right? And so transforming characters, so Captain Marvel going from regular to binary, and grunts, and Ultron was the perfect place to add grunts, obviously. I mean, there's other places we could have done grunts, but Ultron was very, very high contender. And started thinking about like what the grunts look like. And it sort of became like, I wouldn't say the North Star to the box, but it definitely did help define that box and give it some personality, which we thought was fun. But these grunts in particular, like we'd only done like 3 things to the base. So like the Hydra Troopers, the Hand Ninjas, right? It was 3 to a base, but there was something about being able to pull off, and there's a lot of reasons why being able to pull off 5 worked, right? First, you have characters with flight, right? These robots can fly, so it's much easier to get space on the base when you can have some things not actually touching the base. They can be above. So that provided that little bit of extra breathing room to allow 5 minute characters. Plus, it just makes it way more terrifying. You have, instead of like 3 Ultron drones, right? It's 5, so it feels more threatening. It feels more terrifying across the battlefield, but also lets you get a more feeling like, yeah, this 5 Ultron bots feels like the same as 3 Handages, right? Like, let's be real. That just feels more correct. Yeah, and important. Swarm was sort of the keyword. Here when drawing out the pose and kind of coming up with how they were all going to work together. So I remember I took a bunch of images and just kind of looked at different things. So like, like images from zombie movies, or how piles of characters would work. And then just started doing some iterations, and kind of came up with this idea of the one is sort of crawling out of the ground. They're really overtaking. You got the ones flying, so you have like a lot of diversity and movement and flow. And then, of course, we've talked about this before. We start doing a pose, and then we send it to the engineers. Send it to Marco and Evan. Kevin, and I'm like, so this is where I'm at, what are you feeling? And they usually have feedback like, well, can we move this character because we're, maybe we're just not comfortable with putting that character there for engineering. Or what if we did this? And then I move stuff around. That's how this process always works, right? No new information here. And but we pretty much didn't change it. Like, I remember Evan and Marco being pretty much like on board immediately. Like, yeah, we can totally make this work. Like, and I think the engineering on this is pretty clever, right? With the way this bot glues to this bot, and then that hand connects to that hip, and then that leg connects to that hand. So you have 3 points of connection, and it holds it all together very solidly. And just makes for a very interesting, but really complex miniature. It's nice. I love having a diverse selection of miniatures available to people, from very complex to very simple. I've said it before. We can make every single miniature a single part. You won't like the results, but we can do it. It just won't look good. And also, just from a holistic look across the entire line, you want a diverse series of character individuals laid out, right? If everything is guns akimbo, or everything is standing there with their arms crossed. It's not as interesting as if you have some things standing there with their arms crossed and some things doing, like the heroic statuesque pose. Then if you have some of that and then some real over the top stuff, as as creators, we want to push and learn and grow. And we've always said we want to push the limits of what's possible in miniatures, and we're going to try stuff. And sometimes it's not going to quite hit maybe exactly how we envisioned it, but we're going to learn from it and we're going to grow from it. And that's the important part. That's the important part of just the human experience for me is, do something, learn from it, evolve from it, grow from it, push from it, adapt, try again, never give up, never surrender. Well, that was rambly. Do you archive the development process for review at later stages for reflection purposes, relearning process? Yeah, all the most iterations exist. We do a little bit more like on the fly, like learning, I think. And then we always try to like talk about each thing as it happens. And so it's more of on the fly, in the pocket thought process. Not necessarily go back, 8 months and look at everything and review it necessarily. But more in the moment development. And there's so many stages to the development of miniatures that you have so many opportunities to talk about it. When we draw a pose to when we get the first bits of plastic, that's, that can be over a year. So at that stage, we can look at the ideas there while we're building the miniature for the first time in plastic and being like, oh, hey, that probably wasn't the best idea, huh? Or, hey, that really worked. Wow. Who did that? That person, stand up, take a bow. The next big event was probably Adepticon, yo. For Atomic Mass Games. I know I'm prepping for Adepticon.
It's all Adepticon all the time upstairs at present.
Yeah. Get ready for that Adepticon life. Don't tell me you're not going to Adepticon. This is going to break my heart. You don't keep tabs on the big events? It's fair.
Yeah. And Spike, those announcements typically are going to be at Adepticon or at Mini Strav, and we're trying to do better for folks like you who are not necessarily keyed into it at the event to follow up with summaries. So hopefully we'll continue to do that, and you'll have some points of reference.
Yeah, we always try to keep, if you follow the Twitter or Instagram, you're always going to get the latest news, information, and announcements coming from Atomic House Games. If we haven't said it there, we haven't said it. If we haven't said there, we ain't going to say it. You know what I'm saying? Can't get secrets from me. I'm an impenetrable fortress. You don't want me to give you my dad look either when you try to get stuff out of me. I'll give you the straight dad look. You imagine these year-long cycles are very rewarding? Yeah. I mean, it takes, Shik's talked about it. I've talked about it. We've mentioned it in other streams and chats. Like during mini-strap, 18 to 24 months is sort of the life of a miniature, right? And there's lots of reasons for that. And all that information, like if you want to know about hard plastic production, there's several people out there that, you can go find that information, how it works. Plus just shipping. Do you know how long it takes to get a boat across the ocean full of materials? Like, it ain't a week. I think most people don't realize how long just some of the more basic parts of manufacturing and production just take. Working on the scale and numbers we work at, right? And just getting something produced, right, takes a long, long time. Like just the physical production part. We're not talking about sculpting, we're not talking about engineering, we're not talking about the art. Just the legit physical production of a machine running a mold. Yeah, loading and unloading. 3 to 5 knots. Does anybody know how fast it is? And if I said I was on the lake the other day and I was doing 5 knots, do you have a point of reference for what that means?
Yes. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it.
5 knots is dead slow. Like Lake Union in downtown Seattle is a no-wake lake. So you're not supposed to go more than 6 knots?
Yeah. The way that I try to remember it is that, obviously miles per hour is a very... Sorry, you've hit upon my nautical past. And my nautical past tells me
Yo ho ho.
While I can't convert it in my head, that a knot is a little less than a mile per hour. It's like 80% of a mile, 80.
Yeah, so you understand 3 to 5 knots is dead slow.
Oh yeah,
just
it's
dead slow.
Reference for everybody else, it's not a lot.
It is dead slow. And yeah, unloading. We just went through the pandemic and, still going. Those repercussions are going to be felt for years, right? Because I just keep adding more and more dark shades slowly. We're going to slowly build this dark shade. Let's get a little darker. Those are going to be repercussions felt for years, right? You have, imagine any of your job where you have to make something daily. So let's say dozen donuts. You have to make donuts. You can make 1 dozen donuts a day. And then suddenly you stop making donuts for 2 years. But you still have to make the donuts that was supposed to be made for 2 years. But you can still only make a dozen a day. You can't catch up.
No.
You'll always be behind perpetually.
The only way you can catch up is if you hire more people and have more space, both of which are very, I mean, I don't pretend to understand how like shipping companies work, but that would be my, stab in the dark, is like that's the only way to speed up, and that's not necessarily an expectation any of us can have.
Yeah. Yeah, ships sat in the harbor a long time. Very long time. Getting some of this coal black and blue in the deepest areas. But I digress. That's not why you're here, is it? Oh yeah, loading the boat. I mean, you have to get it. Imagine the number of miniatures, and then those all have to be loaded and transported across the country to a boat, and then wait to be loaded, and then shipped across an ocean, then wait to be unloaded. Then they have to ship across the country again. I've always said, if there's somebody out there that thinks they can fix the shipping issues in America, you should get a job, because if you can actually fix it, you'll be rich. Go get 'em, Tiger. Just a little black and a little blue, mix it up. What do you do? Add the shadows to the Ultron bots. It's gonna make the metal pop. That's my song today. Maybe if we shrink oceans, if we just throw some dirt in the ocean will be smaller and we can ship quicker. I slid my glasses slowly up the bridge of my nose as I said that. "200 ships off the coast of Panama and the rain fill up the canal." Yeah, that sounds like the number I read about. Are you leaving the maze extremities, the base coat silver, to act as the highlights? I'm leaving those as the mid-tone. So the one thing I do that makes my metallic pop a lot is after I paint all this, I actually then dull coat my metallics. And everybody's like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, it's true. I dull coat them.
But Dallas, why?
But why? Would you like to know more?
I would like to know more. Clicks link.
I dull coat because, once again, the goal is to make them more metal. And if you look at something metal, when it gets in shadow, it becomes less, you lose metallosity. One word, metallosity. Very similar to metallicity. which is an atomic measurement system, metallicity. So this is metallocity. I want to increase metallocity, so I'm going to dull coat. But no dull coat's going to remove all the sheen and shine and shimmers. It's just going to kind of push it down a little touch. And then I come back and I reclaim my highlights and just boom, mix it more. Bye, Spike. So I'm constantly working to just get to that boom. Everything I do for the boom. I do it for the boom. Oh man. And if only there was a way for you to learn this in real life. With your own hands and eyes.
If only there was. Am I being summoned to talk about this?
Or we just don't.
We just don't.
I like a little.
I think people know if they've seen the Adepticon events preview.
Oh yeah, they know.
Yeah.
You're right.
No, sorry, I had to work through that with you. I was like, I feel like I'm being summoned, but I'm trying to be very careful about the summoning. So, everybody, if you haven't had a chance to look at the Adepticon events preview, the registration for stuff, I believe, goes live the end of the first week in January. But right now, things are available to preview. And if you have, in fact, been there to preview, you will note that we are going to be running some painting classes at Adepticon.
Dippity dope.
Huh?
Dippity dope.
Oh, yeah, it's dippity dope. It is. That's what we say about it around these parts.
That's what the kids are saying.
So Dallas and team have been working to find a crew of the best teachers and the best topics for beginner and intermediate, primarily focused painters. And we'll be putting out more information, sort of a deeper dive into the teachers and the class types. I don't want to put a date on it, but between now and when registration opens.
Yeah, we're not going to put too fine a point on it.
Yeah, just a whisper of a point, but not too fine of one.
But definitely, if you're going to Adepticon and you want to take some painting classes, we're going to have several. They're going to cover a variety of topics. Metallocity might be one that's covered a couple times. Because in this paradigm world of non-metallic metal, a few brave souls stand alone. To say thee nay. I say thee nay.
But do you bite your thumb?
I bite your thumb in my general direction.
So many things have happened. And they're not quite right, and yet they feel correct.
Would a selective section only wash not do a similar job to what you're doing? That's basically what I'm doing. I'm basically doing very controlled washes, building up the transparency or building up the lack of transparency over the course of like different layers. I do paint for the camera. I have been trained to paint for the camera, so I instinctively kind of think about how the camera's going to pick up colors. So I want to add a few more, I want to add subtle colors to it. So that's why I'm adding that little bit of blue and that little bit of gray. And I'm wicking away and pushing the paint down into crevices. But I'm not just whap on a great big old coat of oily wash and call it a day, right? Because I want to paint for the camera. I want when the camera takes a picture of it, I want to see those little shimmers of blue. I want to see that little bit of dulling here and there. and work my way to it. So I am sort of selectively washing in a way and blending in a way. I'm really just thinking about how the miniature is going to read. I want that pop. I want that full developed experience on my miniature. Now, if I was painting this for like the studio, it would be way more precise. I would be doing some way more precise stuff. But this is for tabletop. This is for game. This is for, I mean, heck, I might play Marvel Crisis Protocol over the holiday. My partner's learning to play. So see, I did a wash, but then I wiped it away on that top of that calf. I'm really just kind of getting it in those crevices and letting it settle. There's so many paths to victory. You paint how you want to paint. My only hope is that you take some of the ideas and apply them to the way you paint to help make yours a little more poppy, or maybe give you something new to think about. Your wife kicks your butt with her web warriors. My partner plays spider foes. Like, absolutely loves the spider foes. Look, Spider-Man and the Spider Foes are huge favorites here in the studio. Several of us really love Spider-Man. The Spider Foes are just a great rogues gallery.
I started out thinking I was going to be Spider Foes all the way, Web Warriors all the way. But then so many other people have them that I'm like, maybe I should just be different.
You gotta be you.
But what if me is a spider?
Well, live with your legs.
Lift with your legs.
I don't know.
It's so good.
Them's your legs. You gotta live with them. So I'm going to do a glaze of blue, just pure blue, just here and there. This little bit of blue will go really nice whenever I add the orange glow to the drones. Nice complementary color. Just here and there. Once again, it's real subtle. I'm wanting something for the camera to pick up, so when I take a picture of it, it really reads. Also, like I said, even if it's subtle, that blue is there, so it's just going to give that nice punch back against the orange. Kevin, you're on vacation. What are you doing watching this? to dark line a few things here and there even. Doesn't gotta be perfect. It's all volumetric, really. Nothing's important. I play Avengers because Hulkbuster. That's a great reason to play Avengers. I need silver. Ah, where's the silver at? Brown. Silver. There's a dark silver as well. I want the dark silver as well, in addition to, that's purple. Ah, I should have pulled the color out earlier. Fool! Dark silver. Nailed it. So the first highlight, oh man, we only got 15 minutes. First highlight, I don't want that pure bright silver. I want something akin to sort of where it's been washed and covered. So I start reclaiming. We're going to let this color go down into the shadows. Because if you've been here before, you know, like we like to highlight down in the shadows to let the miniature read. Like just because it's in shadow doesn't, I still want to be able to tell what the miniature is. What is the form? So recollecting some of that lower elements that kind of get muddled. I can do like, he's got this little chest and that lower lip. Just let that read better. I really like it when people don't try to hide stuff down in the shadow. Like, you know, you can paint it black, that's great. But if I can still see down in there and see what you did in the shadow, I think that that's very cool. Oof, bad blend. Sketchy blend. Like it. And so because we have all this opaque paint and we're reclaiming with silver, it just makes that more poppy, more exciting to visually see. Somebody's asking a question. Do you ever find metallic paints reacting differently in the brush when applying? I acting differently how? I mean, I guess the immediate answer is no, because I'm not sure what you mean. Also, I've heard people say, "Oh, don't use metallic paints with your good brushes, and don't use metallic paints with your with the water cup that you're using for your non-metallic paints." I've never cared about that. I painted studio miniatures with the same brush for my metallics and my non-metallics, and used the same water cup and had zero contamination issues. Most metallic paint in this day and age, made by any decent paint manufacturer, the metal flakes are small enough they're not going to mess up your brush the same way they would have 30 years ago or 40 years ago. So I've never followed any of those rules and never had any issue. Is there application on the miniature identical standard colors? Yeah, I just thin with water. They apply the same. Different, like I said, different brands are going to have different, properties. So finding what works best for you is essential. Like there's some art paint out there that's the metallics are acrylic or not acrylic based. They're alcohol based, so you gotta be super careful with them. But man, those are some smooth metallics. But I like metallic, or I like acrylic metallic paints for ease of cleanup and safety. Is gloss varnishing your metallics a good idea to enhance the shine? I do not gloss varnish anything. Like I was saying earlier, I very much I paint for the camera, and cameras do not like large amounts of gloss varnish. They catch too much light and reflect back into the camera. I actually don't like high gloss. Like I'm personally not a person that likes high gloss miniatures. I think it just becomes too much light reflecting from me to be able to see the miniature. So I prefer a more satin finish and not glossy finish. and then I dull coat the miniature, my metallics, because then I want to re-pop the highlights and make them even more sharp. It makes my metallics more zingy. And that's what I like. Like, if you like the look of gloss, by all means, but please gloss them up. That's just not my bag. You know, no one person is right or wrong. It's art, you know, so it's all just personal preference. And when it comes to your art, my opinion doesn't matter until you enter a painting competition that I'm judging, or you try to work for me. And then you gotta listen to nothing but my opinion. Boring. Darth Vader's helmet. Interesting. Yeah, I'm a purist. I want to paint the shine. Like, that's just my preference, right? That's me, not you. You can do whatever you want. But I want to paint the shine. I want to come in and be like, this is how I use opaque paint to make you believe that that helmet is shiny, when the reality is it's not. Like, I find that fascinating process there. And once again, for the camera, right? If like I'm trying to take a picture of it, that light reflecting back off gloss stuff makes the photograph more difficult to get. Everyone has the end product they enjoy viewing most. Yeah, 100%. As I said, my opinion doesn't matter until I'm, if you're painting a studio miniature for us, or you're entering a painting competition. But if it's not one of those, you can paint something however you want, and you come up and you're like, you find me at Adepticon, you're just like, I painted this. I'm gonna be like, did you have fun? That's all that matters. If you're like, well, will you give me criticisms? And I'll be like, well, do you want the nice criticism or the real criticism? Those are two different things, Anne.
That's what I've heard.
Some people don't want the real criticism, and that's okay. I'll be like, what's your goal? Is your goal to be a studio painter? Is your goal to be a competition painter? And if the answer to that's no, then I'll be like, okay, well then, did you have fun painting it? Like, what did you feel you missed? Right? What do you feel you lack? And then how can we come together to give you a path to the victory you're looking for? Is it ever a chore painting for the camera studio rather than your preferred style? That's such an interesting idea. Like, what is my style? This is a conversation I have with Brendan all the time. like, I don't think I have a style. I'm way more of a chameleon. I have several different paint projects, and they're kind of all different styles, because I want to learn how to do lots of different things. So painting for the camera is just something I kind of just think about innately. It's just something I sort of do innately. It's more the techniques is different, but the philosophy is always there. Like, am I trying to paint 5 Ultron bots in an hour, or am I trying to paint the studio miniature? I'm still trying to apply the same philosophy. I'm just applying like a tighter process or tighter techniques. But the philosophy is still there, right? I'm allowed to get away with certain things when it's just for the tabletop than when it's for a box, right? If it's for the box, you do have to think differently. You have to think about, like, you know, every little bit, because every little bit is going to show up on the camera, and somebody, it's going to be their favorite character. It's going to be the one thing they've been waiting for, and they're going to be laying in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, looking at memes, and then go right back to that picture and look at that picture again, and they're going to look at it top to bottom and scrutinize. And so it's got to be like, you got to think about that when you're painting for like a box or a competition. Competition, like, you got to think about the judge is going to be flipping that miniature upside down and over, looking for every imperfection. But for the photograph, you still want the same things. You want those things to be poppy. You want them to be sharp. You want a lot of color. You want some variation. But I want the same thing in my tabletop stuff. I want those same ideas, but I want them to be quick and delectable, like very consumable at a quick glance. I'm allowed to have imperfections because the imperfections do not matter for tabletop. That's just part of tabletop, and that's okay. But I still want that little bit of that color, because it just makes it more visually interesting. It makes it stand out a little bit more. Is that level of scrutiny inspiring or overwhelming? I think I find it inspiring. I do actually kind of find it inspiring to, like, really get in there and do something with a high level of scrutiny involved on the back side of it, because that's what pushes, right? Tony and I were just talking, and I mentioned, like, a tree without struggle doesn't reach for the sun, right? So that's part of just learning and growing, is the challenge, right? Like, you know, the plateau is a moment when you're going to break through, right? Like the struggle, you don't learn by winning. You learn by failing, right? You learn by trying something and messing it up, and then being able to analyze, well, why is it a mess up? And how do I make it better, right? Like, what did I learn from it? And that's the important part. So I like that level of scrutiny. Personally, I like the challenge. I like the amount of making me think it brings to the project. The amount of that's inspiring to me. 2:05, Ann.
Well,
I was rambling.
you were, but you were living your best life.
I was just rambling, just
Living your best life.
talking philosophical.
All right.
Philosophical. It was pretty awful. Let's be real. So I think that this is pretty much done for the silver, outside of, I'm going to give it a dull coat, and I'm going to ping those highlights because it's going to dull everything down, but it's not going to remove the shine. Like when you put dull coat on there, it's not going to kill the metal. It just pushes it down just that little scooch. Just a little scooch.
Just a scotch.
And then you come back with a little silver and you just bing that back and it just makes it even more shine. And it's more shiny now, as you can see, with that underside. Like when you look at anything metal around here, it's not reflective on the bottom. It's dull, right? It's a very dull on the bottom where the shadows are. And the more shadow, the more dull. And so we want to replicate that in the miniature. And that's what makes it more shiny, right? Contrast. It's dark, it's light. If it's all light, there's no contrast. But if you got dark, you got light, contrast. Boom. Airbrush hose drop. Remember, every Tuesday and Wednesday, except for the next 3 weeks, we're on vacation. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to paint some miniatures. We're on vacation, but every Tuesday and Wednesday here on Twitch, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can check us out. We do the Time of Mass Transmissions live. You just watched it. And hopefully after the holidays, you'll come back and watch it again. And then for all the latest news, information, and announcements coming from Atomic Mass Games, you should check us out on Twitter and or Instagram, because that's where we hang out and tell you when things are happening, and never a moment too soon or too late. That's where we do the thing.
Oh, yep.
Oh, what was the last one we were supposed to do? The last head turn?
Oh, man.
I don't remember.
There was the villainous one. There was the like, I can't believe it's you.
Oh, I can't believe it's you. Let's see if we can do that. Hello.
Or goodbye.
Nice to see you again. Goodbye.
I said good day.
I said good day. Bye, everybody.